Good morning. All right, let's get going. All right, everyone out there, hello. My name is Grace from Quantic School of Business and Technology. I am the program experience lead here. We have here today for you, another episode of our Quantic Conversations where we bring Quantic staff, students, and other community members to the stage for an engaging conversation. Today's session will be about 45 minutes and it is recorded. So if you need to step away and come right back, just use the same link and you can watch later on. Um, we want to say if you or a colleague have any questions about our program as at Quantic or are curious, we do have a link here. We'll put it in the comment box for you. You can go ahead and click and learn more and just kind of understand, you'll understand today the kind of students we have in our program like Jilly. So now, for those of you tuning in, every single one of you out there, wherever you are, we absolutely want you to interact with us in a couple different ways because while it's a conversation between myself and Jilly, it's also a conversation with all of you out literally in the world. So go ahead and tell us where you're joining in from and maybe what you're eating or drinking right now. A lot of you probably snack while you're listening on these conversations. Another way to interact is if you hear something that really resonates with you, they're like, oh, that's an aha moment. Go ahead and drop that in the comment box as well. We'd love to see that. If you have a question for Jilly as we get into our conversation, feel free to put that in the comment box as well, and we will get to that towards the end of today's session. Now, here's a question for you, wherever you are. And on the topic of what we're talking about today, which is how to be CEO of your life and career, on a scale of 1 to 5, thinking about yourself, how successful do you feel at being CEO of your life? 1 being, I have no control at the moment and I'm feeling pretty lost. 3 might be, I'm cruising along, but don't feel overly positive or negative about life right now, kind of neutral. And then 5 is, you are on top of the world right now. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where do you feel like you are as far as being the CEO of your life? Now, I need to get to a part now. We have to do some shout outs, of course. We want to acknowledge the people who have joined us today. First of all, Kelsey Duggan from our marketing team. She's always behind the scenes and making sure these events happen. So I want to shout out to Kelsey right now. And I'm going to do shout outs a little bit differently today. I want to acknowledge those who are listening, of course, and we want to high five you and appreciate you. Here's a shout out to all of you out there who might have just finished an important project and you are so thrilled about it. So you deserve a shout out right now. And maybe another shout out to people who are in the process of looking for a job and you're working on your resume and your CV and you are really going through that process. I want to acknowledge you as well. Those are not easy things. And here's a shout out also for anyone who just recently got a promotion or job. Celebrate. Kudos to you. Those are huge things in your life. And actually, finally, a shout out to all of you who've actually had a rough week. And we definitely all have those. If you've had a tough week and you're joining us today, we hope that today's conversation will inject a little bit of positivity into your day and just lift you a little bit. These conversations are so great because we really do see that everyone can gain a little bit from it, and we hope that you do as well. Now, let me, and Jilly, you've been very patient sitting next to me, so let me introduce you to our guest today, Gilli Aliotti. She graduated back in September 2021, and in the eyes of anyone looking in, maybe looking at your LinkedIn profile or just from the outside, Jilly is a goal-oriented woman and professional, has a bias toward action. That's how I perceive you, and is strategic and all of those things. And all of you can read her bio. I did debate whether I should go through your bio. It's actually quite extensive, and it just shows the experience and career path that she's had. So I don't need to read that for you guys, but what I do want to highlight, and we'll really learn more during this conversation, is just um, You're so accomplished, Jilly, and you are a strong woman and professional. We do want to get to know you. So this conversation is hopefully going to, pull back the curtain a little bit, maybe peel through a few layers. I like to think of it as through this conversation, we'll learn about you, the things we can't see on LinkedIn a little bit, and kind of what makes you tick. And that ultimately will help us and give us insight into what success could look like for someone. So that's kind of the goal of this conversation. And I am particularly happy to be sitting here with Jilly today because we have a little bit of a history. We have a relationship that started way back. Gosh, Jilly, it must have been 2020, right? When I interviewed you for your admissions interview, and I remember thinking after it was a great interview, and I thought, oh gosh, she's fantastic. And I just thought, as soon as we knew that you were accepted, I just thought, will she say yes? I hope she.
Oh my goodness.
I never told you that.
No, I knew that. I'm like, oh, I've got this in the can.
So that was our first interaction, and then fast forward to the end of your executive MBA program with us. It was just luck. I was actually the host for Jilly's cohort's graduation celebration that we do virtually in September. And I didn't even realize she was in the audience. I had lost track of where she was in the program, and I saw your face, and I know that face, and I just remember vividly noticing how happy you were and the beaming smile, and then you had a champagne glass, I think, also. So that was a lovely moment, and right after that, we immediately invited Jilly, after she graduated, to be a speaker at our first ever Women Who Lead virtual conference. We just knew that she would have so much to offer our audience, and so she rocked it just like we thought she would. She ran a fantastic workshop and was on a panel discussion, and so we keep asking you back for a reason.
I love it. Well, it's like my family. And I keep asking to be back. Like, I'm just like, I've had such a great experience with Quantic, and I just, it's like I don't want it to end.
And it doesn't. And actually, let's get into let's talk about you a little bit. Let's start with your Quantic story, because that's always a fun one to listen to, whether it's a student who's listening in and saying, oh yeah, that was just like me, or someone who's not a Quantic student, to hear how it is you chose to pursue an MBA, and then why Quantic. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, totally. And it's a great story, at least for me. So, I had a bachelor's degree from way back. Not going to reveal my age, but from way back. And I then went into life and career and traveled the world. And it got to a point where the pandemic had hit, of course, and I was working from home, and I had now a family. I have, by the way, 9-year-old twins. And I realized that there was something missing in my life, which if you look at my LinkedIn and if you get to know me, it's like, what could be missing, Julie? Because you love to do so much. But I'm like, no, why don't I just add another thing onto my plate? But I'd always wanted to have a graduate degree, and something that is useful, like that I actually could really like practically use. And so I wanted to get my MBA, and that it was something that is in me. And I would say the struggle that I've had in my career, as much as I feel like I've really led a great career insofar as a self-empowerment career, and we can talk about that in a minute. I realized that I kept on getting like brick walls at times when I wanted to really show that I could be a senior leader. And it's kind of terrible to say that, but it's still out there that, if you don't have this degree, then they're not going to look at you. And I'd like to kind of question that in general. But for me, I was like, I still wanted to get an MBA because I felt like that I could really master that leadership that I needed for the work that I knew was going to be my next 10, 20 years. And so it came, I guess, late for me. if there is a timing in it. And I would even question that. Is there a time? Does it has to be a timing in these things? No, I think you can go and get an MBA whenever you want to. But so it came to me at a time where it was the right time, didn't have the time before, didn't feel it was right. B, I actually had been in the trenches, living and breathing it. So actually just like, spoiler alert, as I started to do the MBA, I was getting these aha moments going, oh, I know this. Oh, but that's what it's really called. Things like that.
Yeah.
And 3, pandemic, I wanted to do something light and lean, where I wanted to, use technology to get my MBA. Why did I have to go and walk into a school somewhere? I really wanted to, and it was perfect. So Quantic came along, not to lie, it came up in like search feeds for me. And I did look at others, but at the end of the day, it just felt so good for me, self-paced. I could really, I'm anything gadget technology. So if I can do an MBA on my cell phone, oh my gosh, like it's a bit more than that. Just, I won't lie, it's a lot more than that. But just going through the modules just felt like, wow, this is refreshing. This is cutting edge. This is exactly who I am in my career. I want to go to a school that's also cutting edge if I'm going to work in cutting edge. So that's why I chose Quantic, and I never looked back. I really enjoyed my experience so much and learned a ton.
What was you mentioned that you had a lot of aha moments, which is always fun, and we do hear it quite a bit, because I think people, or just all of us, sometimes we go into something like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to learn A, B, and C, and then we are surprised at what we are learning, whether it's something we thought we knew already or something completely off our radar. Can you think off the top of your head something has stuck with you since you've done the MBA program?
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest part of it is that, which feeds into a little bit about our topic today, is I realized that I could actually, basically could run a business. Like, I felt like I could actually put all the cogs in the wheel together and understand all the parts of it. And some of you out there might be thinking that, maybe you think startup, or you think general business, or you think you're part of a big business. But I really kind of felt like I could run all these different pillars in a business, whether I want to or not. Like, I understood. And the aha moments to me were, I had been doing some of that in my different career path and going, oh my gosh, like, I've had to do this. And now I'm getting some more of that definition from my MBA to kind of really make it clearer for me. There's not just one or two. It was all the time. I did a lot of the startup entrepreneur accelerator, and the strategic ones were very good for me, because as a leader, I need to be more strategic. So thinking more broadly and macro about business, rather than in the trenches sort of work, was what the MBA really kind of brought out for me.
Very nice. It does surprising things. I think learning in general is very powerful at any stage of life, but I also think it probably is different at different stages in life as well. Your lens is not what it was several jobs ago or seasons ago. And so let's stay on the topic of career. And I was just sharing with Jilly right before we got on. This is like full transparency. I had a list of questions for her, like a huge list. And I'm like, we want to know all these things about you.
We'll be here for 4 hours.
Yeah, right. We would be here for quite a while. And then it just dawned on me, and also just from talking to Jilly, who likes to live at by the seat of her pants. Let's focus on the topic, which is plenty enough as an umbrella to break down and kind of dig into how to be CEO of your career in life. I chuckle because we got such a good response as far as people who wanted to attend this. And I was talking to Kelsey, like, I wonder why, Jilly's super cool, and she works at Google, or maybe it's the title. There's something about those 3 letters, I think, that really catch people's eye. But anyway, we're going to break that down a little bit more. So let's focus still on career. If we were to talk to Jilly, 25-year-old Jilly, I'm just going to pick a random number, but in her mid-20s, what was she wanting or thinking she would do with her life and career?
Oh my gosh. So, I think I was a bit of a vagabond when I was 25.
Mm,
So I really hadn't thought about what I would do intentionally in the future. Uh, Also because I wasn't a mother at the time.
mm,
Um, and I was an adventurer. And so I really wanted to try all flavors and travel around the world. Around that age, I had left Australia for a look-see to come and check out America. I went to Europe. I've got some Italian heritage too, so went there, did some work, but kind of came over to America and started to look at it. And at that time, I was very, I was also an artist, so very
mm,
creative and looking at mainly either the music or the film industry and how I could get my sea legs there, and ambitious, I think I would say. I was
mm,
ambitious. But at that time at 25, I was willing to sleep on people's couches, hop from one town to another to meet people, and I was very community oriented. And also when I was 25, and this is going to reveal my age, but we were really at the cusp of the internet. So not really not everyone was on the internet.
mm.
Can you
I
imagine
remember.
that thing? Can you actually imagine that?
Yeah.
So, but I was like, I'm gonna have a place there, because I
Mm,
knew that that's how I could think globally. Because I was ambitious in that way.
mm,
So, career-wise, I was a bit of a vagabond, trying new things and ambitious at the same time, but really not without no North Star, if that
mm.
makes sense.
The North Star. Okay. Well, I have to ask now. So the wherever you are and wherever you were, and I'm going to ask you what that North Star was then. Is it the same now?
So the North Star that I was trying to think it was
Yeah.
some kind of uh, creative uh, excellence. Like I
Mm,
wanted to do really great in something, but I wasn't very specific. Um, so I think that it was blurry.
yeah.
Plus, I didn't know much. At 25, like you're still discovering. So I
Yeah.
was still
Yeah.
trying to think about who do I need to know, and I don't know the information. I need to get a lot of information. So I came to Hollywood, to LA, and I was doing a couple of things. I had a split personality. I was being creative. I
Mm,
seriously was in a band, like playing music, okay,
yeah.
and then writing songs and all those things. But I was also getting my sea legs in early tech. Uh, I was doing events, production of events management. I was getting involved in like car launches and trade shows and festivals, and like producing things like randomly. And I would go back and forth from Sydney to LA and do that, and
Mm,
wrangle people to pull off things like that, and then meeting people. So my
mm,
North Star was like fuzzy, but at the same time, I was ambitious. So that's kind of an interesting one,
yeah.
insofar as you grow older, or even as you get more seasoned and clearer. When you get clearer in
Right.
what you really want, then you can really kind of focus in on that.
More clarity. More clarity. When you were just talking about your MBA journey,
Hmm.
there are plenty of things that you've done already in your professional life that you already knew, but then to have the language or the clarity or the further understanding of what's already who you are, I think that's so powerful as we move through life and through different stages. And I love that the way you articulated, you were not double personality. You had two lives and you were living them concurrently. And
Yeah.
I've been reading a book recently, Designing Your Life. Our career director recommended it. And one of the chapters, it talks about that we have multiple lives, that
Mm.
we don't have to think about our life as just the thing or the first thing that we do. We're not locked into it. And I think young Jilly already had a sense of that. Yeah, there are multiple things I want to do, but the ambition part does drive you. Is there a motto or like a thing that got like
Yeah.
in your head that kind of drives your day-to-day action as kind of like your your principle or foundation, whatever it is, a motto? Do you have something like that?
Yeah, and I think I kind of piggyback off what you just said too to get to that. So like, I realized that uh, I don't want to be put in a box.
Yeah.
People like to put you in a box and say, well, you do that. I mean, look, go to your own LinkedIn profiles and you'll see you're having to think about how you tell your narrative on how you get to your latest job, right? Like,
Yeah.
but like, I didn't want to be put in a box. And I'd say that my motto is, well, there's two. One, I am all of it, which is what you just said, Grace. And
Mhm.
two, um, follow your passion. So I've always, even though I haven't always been clear, I have always followed my passion.
Yeah.
When it doesn't feel good, then I want to change. And I think that the struggle in that is when the world around you doesn't get that with you. And
Yeah.
so you have to kind of feel like you have to put yourself in a box so they understand who you are. And so
Mm,
I struggled with that for a long time. And it's a journey to go, well, I know you see me as this person, and hey, you over here see me as this person, but I'm all of that, and it is okay. You got to live by what's in your heart, uh, mostly, and that's really gotten me to where I am today, which is really I took a really interesting turn without me even knowing it.
mm,
Um, I thought that I knew what I wanted. Isn't that interesting? I thought I knew what I wanted. What I realized in my age now is I wanted something different, or because I was unclear then, now it's really coming into the fore for me. And uh, growing older to me is so wonderful because I'm actually getting clearer, and it will take me a life to get clear, but it getting clearer with exactly who I am and who I want to be.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. You talk about dating yourself. I'm right there with you, girl. So I know exactly what it was like without internet. It was an interesting time. But okay, so I love everything you're sharing right now. The many of us, and that when I say the royal us, and maybe not at the moment, but at different times, we um, we do think about what we're passionate about, what we want, because the world tells us that, and our gut tells us, like, what is it that I really, really, what switches me on, what engages me, what energizes me, and um, the idea of, can I find it in my career? Can I find it in my job? And I think a
Mhm.
lot of us get stuck, and there is just the reality that sometimes it doesn't it doesn't always feel right, or maybe it's how people perceive us. So there are lots of complicating factors too, and also just who we are and the kind of choices we make. Have you found, or mm, through your career path, and starting off with your North Star, and really, I would, it sounds like you stuck with it or some version of it all this time. When in your career did you feel like you had a balance? You were all of it. You were doing
Mhm.
the things you're passionate about, but and also you were successful in your career and job, and you liked your job. When did that happen?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, mostly more recently.
Okay.
So, we tend to live with this struggle, we meaning the royal we,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
one could live with the struggle of like being really clear with who we are and what we really want, and not everyone else is clear with that. But I think that it got to a place where more recently I realized I could be all of that, all of it, and
Mm,
it's okay because it all led to who I am today. And I'll give you some concrete examples.
yeah,
So, I had this parallel life, the artist life that I felt like had to be in its own box.
yeah,
Don't talk about it, it's over here. But when I'm in the artist life, oh, it's the biggest thing ever.
yeah,
And then because it's passionate to me and I love it.
yeah.
But then my work life, and I think many can relate to this, you might think sometimes that's a means by which to gain the greater goal. Like you do the job, you go to someone's job, you're working for the man, you just do that, whatever, right? And so I got to a place where I'd said, like, well, if I am going to do that as well, because for whatever
Mhm.
economic reasons or because I have extra passions, I'm going
Mm,
to actually put the same amount of energy in that as well. I'm actually going to do the energy that I've did in my artistic side into my career side and actually give that a go. I actually made a conscious decision about,
mm,
I would say 10 years ago. I made a conscious, maybe 8 years ago, a conscious decision to go, I'm going to be just as thoughtful, ambitious with a North Star and passionate about my day job.
Yeah.
And I might actually really love it. And lo and behold, whoa, I started to really love it. Like, wow, this is a side of me that I really love. And so I started making conscious decisions about the jobs that I took, the roles that I took, and the ambition that I had within that. And so more recently now I've been able to aggregate the two. I am all of it, and it is okay because I actually love both. It's not like I'm doing something over here that I really love, and I'm doing something over here that I don't, but I really want to do that. No, I actually realize that it is okay, Jilly, to let go of that 25-year-old a little bit and say it's okay, and cut that cord a bit. I have new dreams now. I am this person now. I'm an MBA graduate now.
That's
I'm
right.
a mother of twins now. I'm married now. I live in America now. Like all these things that I've had to own and go, this is me now.
Yeah.
I'm older now. All of that.
Yeah.
New dreams, new dreams.
New dreams. That should be the next title for the next one, because once we understand, and this is what I'm just gathering from you, once there's ever more clarity about the things that are important to us and that we want to have, and then finding a way to have all of it, and not in separate lives necessarily. And sometimes maybe it does need to. I think that there's something to that as well. Sometimes not all of us have a creative outlet that exists in our job, but just listening to you share right now, but there probably is. It just may not be what you thought it was in the first place, but being creative in the workplace, for instance, is possible. And it really is about kind of reframing everything. It all can be there. So I'm really excited just listening to you. I'm quite inspired, actually. We have a few questions already, and so I'm going to get to some of those right now.
Okay,
And
let's do it.
I knew it. I wouldn't get to anywhere near all the questions I had for you, but that's fine. So let's see. What was the first thing you implemented from your Quantic MBA in your job that you remember applying?
I actually, well, it's so helped me in sort of things that I was doing around organizational development, strategic planning. It gave me those extra tools in my toolkit to go do that. The other piece of it was I'm going to say this with a two-pronged answer. So it helped me in my job. It helped me it satisfied that that thing that I needed. Like, I was telling you all that, and I want to get my MBA. That's one extra thing I wanted to do, right? So it did that, and practically it helped me, like, fundamentally in different things that I was doing at the time. Because this MBA, the EMBA, is all about those who are actually out there working, doing it. So it actually, like, I just literally took those practical skills, and especially doing the quarterly team assignments, working with my not only in the cohort but with my group on going through those, which I've made lifelong friends, by the way, with my group. We studied together the whole time, but there was some outcomes in that. We got ideas. So we actually have been looking at those ideas to pursue. So that's real practical stuff. Here's the theory. Here's the philosophical, or maybe we say the spiritual stuff, if however you want to interpret this. I realized that I actually had it in me already. See, I thought that I actually needed a certificate to give me that extra validation. What I realized, even though I, again, absolutely loved it, yes, it's important, and those who need it, you need to do it, and I needed it. But I also realized inside in my heart that I didn't need that validation, that I actually was already. So it was like that's the aha. The aha to me is, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
But now it's on my resume, but I already had it, and I think that's really meaningful. Meaning the deeper self-awareness and understanding and abilities to be that person that has an MBA.
Yeah. many students have also talked about the confidence that it's palpable, I think, when you have the toolkit and all that. But you, for you, and I'd say it's even more than confidence. What you're describing it as this like eye-opening thing where maybe it did require going through it and kind of passing through the need or desire for validation. We have those moments, we just do. We have moments like, yeah, I really want that, or I think I need it, and then once we have it, we realize we actually didn't, but there's wisdom in that. And
Yeah.
that's a powerful moment for you that you've experienced.
Yeah, and you could call it a rite of passage as well. Like it's a rite
Mm,
of passage of going through it, but then realizing at the end
yeah.
you're already there.
You're already there. And so powerful as an adult learner too. Not that children's learning when we're young is any less powerful. It's just different.
Mhm.
I observe, and for my own life, when I've chosen to do something for whatever reasons initially, and then come out after the rite of passage, you're a changed person for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
From Julio, he's asking,
Mhm.
how do you use your art and artistic ability in business?
Oh my gosh, it's a great question. And you touched on it just momentarily ago, Grace. So creativity is fundamental to business.
Mm,
Fundamental. Uh, how we think outside the box, how we come up with new ideas, how do we be creative in, let's say, product development or ideas, right? Ideas come from within and without as well. So uh, I've used my creativity skills in
mhm,
business on a day-to-day basis. I like to always think outside the box, and I love to bring people together to collaborate in order to think outside the box and think how we can move the needle and do greater for the greater good. And that's for the business, that's for the team, and
right.
that's for you as an individual.
Yeah. Um, Multiple times through this conversation, you've mentioned community and just now, but even just looking at your roles as
Mm.
a leader, I would think, cares about the greater good for sure. And so, you must have numerous moments where you saw the work of what you're doing, whether it was thinking creatively or reading your team and
Mhm.
understanding that this just let's go this way, and then
Mhm.
with a goal in mind. I don't know if you can think of anything off the top of your head where you it was clear to you that you've made a decision that was great for the team and you led them.
Well, philosophically, or theoretically, a good leader is someone who can identify talent and nurture that talent to greatness. Uh, the success of a leader is the success of the team. So I'm a people person. People who know me know that. And so I think there's a lot of power in people and how people collaborate together. So putting aside what we're collaborating on,
Yeah.
if people can get in a room and ideate, brainstorm, and collaborate together,
Yeah.
that is powerful because that's strength in numbers and that's strength in ideas. And once that collaboration takes place, you can do amazing things if the people can collaborate. So I focus a lot of my work in the last, eons, 15 years, I'd say, probably more, maybe back to when I was 25.
Yeah.
Not that old, but back to 25. I would say that I have always thought about community and people collaboration, effective people collaboration.
Yeah.
And that effective is where the leader comes in. So, how effective?
Yeah.
Bringing in ideas, methodologies, frameworks,
Mhm.
uh, star players in order to make sure that that is effective. And
Mhm.
so, going back to the creative part, the artistic part,
Mhm.
uh, uh, I think it's important. I would say the other way around for Julio, knowing that you've heard my creative side, is I also believe that artistry needs business. So
Ah,
putting that business hat on as a creative is extremely important, and I've spent quite a bit of time working in that area in my past on helping artists become more business minded and
Mm,
thinking of yourself as an artist to be more the CEO of your creative business. I
interesting.
won't dive too deep there, but I just wanted to say it cuts both ways.
That's powerful. Right. It's that box. We put ourselves in boxes and lanes, and it takes leaders like yourself who've already tried stepping out of the box many, many times, and to show others like this is a good thing. These are important if we are to grow. So thank you for sharing that. From Michael, what advice do you have for someone who is closer to the end of their working life, but still wants to achieve more and attain
Mm.
satisfaction? Oh, good question.
Michael, really good. You know, it's important. It's good to hear that, because I have a friend of mine uh, who's retired actually, and she's trying to figure out what to next. Um, and this goes back to passion. So, what is it that drives you, and getting really clear on that at this point in your life? Again, it could be different passions from when you were earlier. So it's like, what do you want to do next? And I'd say pursuing that. Now, identifying your passions can be hard. So doing some visualizations, thinking about, spending some time. If you're into meditation or anything like that, do that. Spend that time, create some space for that, write it down, think about some of the things that are important to you, that are your life dreams, and then thinking about what might support that. It's interesting. Working life sometimes never really ends, depends on how you define work. So you might be retiring from a job, but you may want to continue working because that satisfies you, and now you're the CEO of your own passion business, of whatever that is, and you're like thinking of it. And that doesn't mean it has to drive huge revenue, or you're going to be the top of the whatever. That's not it. It's about what is it that you want, and being the master of your destiny on that. Yeah.
That's a great question. I let's see. I'm just looking at. Oh, we don't have much time left. I knew it would go fast, but I didn't think it would go this fast, Jilly. Let me. I want to ask you a little question about control.
Yeah.
And I say that I say it both lightly, but just as something we all identify with, and certainly when we think of our own lives, and whether we feel in control of things and the things
Mm.
we don't control, and just tying it to the understanding of being CEO of any aspect of your life, CEO of my relationship with my partner, with my kids, with my job, getting a hold on what I want to do with my career. But um, what is your take, or what has your struggle been? I'm going to assume you're human, so you must have struggled with this,
Yeah, yeah.
with just the idea of control and what place it has in your life.
God, it's an interesting word. I mean, there's things that we can say, like, I can control what I can control, what I know I can control, but I can't control what's not in my control. um, but there's like, what is the word control? Like, why would we even just think that we need to control anything? So
Mhm.
there's been certainly some bumps in the road for me. And I'll give you an example of something that's happened recently for me, where I felt like, because you look at my LinkedIn, I've just changed job, right? You'll see that.
Yeah.
So not to go into the details of the job, the point is that I made a change.
Mm.
And so I went from thinking I knew everything,
Yeah.
in theory, like I'm in control,
Yeah.
to feeling like I know nothing, meaning I'm out of control. Now it's momentary,
Right.
but these changes can cause us to feel like we're not in control. The pandemic made me feel like I wasn't in control. I wasn't in control of my children's education. We were schooling from home.
Mhm.
Obviously, couldn't control the forces, right? None of us could. And we're just trying to navigate through that. And so I think it's about, how do we navigate through change?
Mm.
Not so much to stay in control, but to stay centered, because I don't think control helps. If we think that we need to own or control everything around us, then we're only going to be setting ourselves up for failure. But we don't want to be in quicksand either, where it's like you feel so out of control. So to me, I've always gone to a place, and my family's been very helpful on that, is of centeredness, like kind of stepping back out of the fishbowl for a minute, taking stock, and then kind of getting more centered. I think that's the best way that I would answer that.
Yeah. And I do ask these questions in part because these are things that I think about, and many of us think about this illusion that we have control. And even when you said, that's an interesting word to think about, because we do think about it, but our concept of what it is and what it actually looks like is all messed up sometimes. And the example you gave is great, where we will have moments that we either think we have to grab control of something or we don't have it, but maybe it's not even about that. And maybe that's the point of all of this. And even back to the title of the of the event, how to be CEO of your life and career.
Exactly. Like, are you in control being a CEO?
Yeah. Are they going to tell me how to figure out my life? And now we know it's not quite what we always think of it as. And so I'm really glad that you answered it for me. Okay, I'm going to ask you just one more question, because we literally are at time, and like a good show, we can end it on a very good note. So what are one or two things people can start doing today to start being the CEO of their life?
Yeah. So this accumulates to this, because we've talked about all of these areas. And by the way, all of you out there, we've been flying by the seat of our pants, so it's great.
Literally.
No rehearsal here. I think it's important to follow your passion, like what feels good. Now that means, this is the career and the life part. I'm going to talk about the CEO bit next. So the career and the life part is, if it feels good, follow it. Find the balance, right? It is so important, especially more now than ever, especially now that we've got this opportunity mostly to do hybrid workforce and, more flexibility and balance. It's the silver lining of everything that has come through. That it's now time for us to get back into balance, and it's good. That's a good outcome. So finding the balance, following what feels good, so that if your work doesn't feel good, find and ask questions so that can feel good. If you're building a business, pursue the areas that are less struggle. Don't follow the struggle. Struggle is just struggle if it's going to stay in struggle. You keep going for what feels good, what are easier wins, that's their messages saying follow that. And in life, find that balance: family, friends, getting centered, all of that. Now the second thing is the CEO bit, and I think this is where we keep circling around the term, but I'll hit it right on the head from my point of view. Being the CEO of that means that you are the master of your destiny on that. It means that, I guess we're working on the control bit, but it's more about that you're seeing it holistically, as if you're a CEO of a company. They have to think of 360-degree view of everything about the company, the projections, the operations, the product, the everything, the service, all of it, the people. And so too for us, thinking about our ownership of our careers and our ownership and participation in our life. We are the CEO of that, which means you can create that. You have every opportunity to create exactly how you want to map that out. And you're not reacting to someone else. You're proactive. You're in the driver's seat of that. And so I think that's my takeaway there.
And we will close out on that note. We've all been in the driver's seat the whole time, probably, haven't we? We just don't know it sometimes. Jilly, thank you so much. Audience, I hope you
It was
gained some
fun.
nuggets in there, and I learned a ton, even if it was, I mean, even in the moments of hearing myself respond to you. And I think that's what I love about these conversations, that you gain so much and more to think about afterwards. So, um, audience, if you enjoyed this, we'll have more episodes with more Quantic members and different, diverse, equally as awesome and fantastic. And Jilly, I'm afraid that probably you're going to get a bunch of LinkedIn requests after this. So
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I will listen. I'll happily answer questions. Like if we couldn't get to your questions, if you ping me and I'll answer those questions. But
that's so
Grace, it's been so wonderful. Thank you so much for having a conversation with me.
Of course you. I think many people are surprised, like, you're going to talk to me. I'm thinking, why wouldn't we talk to you? This is gold, and this is the stuff you can't see on LinkedIn. So on a LinkedIn profile, I think that's what's so powerful. And I wish you the absolute best.
Thank you.
Longevity. My takeaway is there's longevity if we understand all these things about ourselves and other people, and it doesn't have to end anywhere. So
That's right.
have a great weekend. Bye to the audience. Thanks for coming by. We're really, oh my gosh, there's so much love. You should look at the comment box. Lots and lots of love.
It's
Everyone,
so
be
good.
well and continue to be CEO of your life. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.